All right, so this is the Scumbling and Impasto demo, Squeak. Again, I'm working on my old friend, the FYF Festival lawn stage that I did both the underpainting for and did one layer of glaze. Actually, I think I did a couple on this. I don't remember. But I'm going to show you guys how to do Scumbling and how to do Impasto, which basically is just using opaque paint. So for the purposes of this demo, I'm looking at what I've got so far. I'm looking at my image, okay, and I'm not that unhappy with what I've got going on with this shadow here. And I'm like, you know, and with the underpainting coming through, I really like that. But I definitely want to get some highlights of the leaves up here. That's not happening yet. So I'm going to do that with Impasto. Also, the sky is just way too dark. I don't necessarily want it to look like it does in the image, but I want to lighten it up a little bit. And I definitely want to get some of the detail in here of the leaves on this tree. And I'll also do, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scumble the sky, scumble the detail on that stage, and then I'm going to do Impasto for the leaves on both trees, and then I'll stop there. So I just want to start by saying I've talked a little bit about color mixing, because we've given you a very limited palette of colors to work with, and you need to mix them effectively to get the colors that you want. This is especially true when you're doing this stage of the painting, okay? Because now, instead of relying on transparencies that you can always add another glazing layer, you want to make sure you kind of nail the color pretty good. So I'm going to put out blue and white for my sky. I'm going to put out green. And actually, I forgot, does somebody have yellow that they can loan me, please? Thank you. So I've got green up here. I need a little bit of yellow and a little bit of brown. So green, brown, come on. Now, when I had you guys glazing, I did not have you put out that much paint because you were using it to mix with the liquid to make it more transparent. So here, you actually might be needing more paint depending on how much you want to scumble or do Impasto. So I've got the blue and the white, I got the green, boom, got it. Oh, and I'm going to put out a little alizarin crimson for the pink stuff in the sky. I mean, on the stage, like that. So I do need yellow. Somebody hand me a cadmium yellow. Thank you. Great. So first, let's see, put a little bit there, put a little bit here. And again, if I need more, I'll put it out. Okay, if I need more paint than this, put it out, but don't do it before you need it. You know, I don't want you guys wasting money on paint either. So only use as much as you need to do. So again, I'm not going to use any terpenoid. Okay, I'm just going to use it to clean the brush in between my colors. So I'm going to do the sky, and for the sky I need a relatively wide brush, so I'm going to use this guy for the sky. And I'm just going to mix in a little bit of the blue and the white. And see, it's pretty thick, okay? And I'm just going to lay it in on top with nothing else. Okay, now that already I'm like, I don't know. Palette knife. I'm like, I don't know about that. So I'm going to scrape off some of it. Just get the excess off. Got to get my rag too. There we go. Okay. So I'm like, that's not going to work. I need a little more blue. So put a little more blue. There we go. Like that. There. So that's Scumbling. Okay. Now, I could do it totally opaque and just completely cover up any glaze that I had. But I kind of like the glaze, and I like the texture. So before I do that, if I do decide to go in and make it totally opaque, I will. But if I want to use the texture of the canvas to get this really nice effect, I'm going to do that. All right? So again, this is just simple Scumbling. Yeah, and I just happen to be going, you know, sideways. You can do it any direction you want. You know, actually that kind of looks different, makes it look a little different. It's almost like a crosshatch compared to the what I had with the underpainting before. Okay. And what I'm going to want to do, see, so you can do that kind of thing. Yeah, and then stop and go, huh, that looks kind of cool. Do I want to keep going? Maybe, maybe not. But this is your chance to use the material. If you don't have canvas, you know, if you're painting on a solid panel, you don't get this. You will not get this texture. That's why artists paint on canvas. A, it's flexible. B, it's inexpensive. But C, it creates these textures that you can use or not. You can completely, or not completely, but you can do a pretty good job of minimizing that texture if you so choose. Like that, okay? Now what I definitely want to do at this point is kind of match the blues to the blues I had in the sky before. So just for fun, I'm going to put just a little, probably too much white in there. But again, if it's too much, I can always go back in and change it later. But this again is scumbling. I'm putting opaque paint on top of the glaze. Just like that. Boom. And I'm keeping it flat. You know, there's a little brush strokey stuff going on, but I'm not really laying it on thick. If I want to lay it on thick, that's where the palette knife helps. Now today you guys don't have one. So if you want to, you can still do this with a brush. It's fine. But I just want to show you how to do it with a palette knife. Palette knives are also excellent for mixing your paint. Because you can keep the paint, you can keep your brush clean. What did I do with the thing? Oh, there it is. So I can keep the paint separate and clean and mix it in a middle area. So for this, I want to do kind of a green, you know, like this with a little bit of yellow. But see what I'm doing? You pick it up like a little tiny piece of butter with a knife. I want it to be lighter than that. So you can see I'm picking from these little different pieces of color. I want a little brown in there because it's really not that intense of a green. And this is what I do when I'm trying to match colors to what I'm looking for. I mix it here and go, that looks kind of close. Is it? And I go up against my image. I'm like, so is that the kind of green I want? Yeah. You know, the green I'm going for, it's really a browner, kind of lighter green, see? Like that's a nice green, it's a really beautiful green. But it's like the area I'm going for is going to be a little bit browner and a little bit lighter. Like it needs white in it. So I'm going to add some more brown, add some more white, a little bit of yellow too. That looks a little bit better. More white. Yeah. Okay, now I've got this kind of, you know, it's not the prettiest green in the world, but it's a little, yeah, that's a little bit closer. Close enough for now, anyway. So I basically made some quick decisions. If you want to make your colors lighter, you add white. You know, the green that you have is kind of a blue green, and this is why when you guys are mixing color, ask me. But the green that we've given you is kind of a blue green. To make it more like a regular normal grass green, you need to add yellow to it. To make it dried up green, the way you see often in Southern California, if that's what you're painting, you would want to add some brown. If you're working with something that's tropical like this, you wouldn't necessarily, or just very little, because that green in the tropics is a much more intense saturated green. So there are ways of mixing different types of greens, and if you're unsure how to do that, let me know. And sometimes what you want to do is I will just apply this with a palette knife and just do it that way. So I'm looking at this and I would just go like here and like along here, see? And I'm just dragging it really lightly and you get this awesome texture. Yay. Okay. And again, if you want to put, you can put it on really thickly. Not that I would necessarily want to, but maybe down here. You know, just for, I'm just doing this for fun, because it should be fun, right? But this is impasto, like where you put it on and leave it on, like really thick, like that. You know, and if that's something you're going for, great. Now, I did that with a palette knife. This is very light impasto that I'm just using for little brief. See, I'm barely holding this. I'm just kind of lightly bumping it up against the canvas, and the canvas picks up, the weave of the canvas picks up these little dots. So it's almost like you're making these really tiny dots with paint that you could never make with a brush, because it's just, they're too small, and it would take, I mean, you could, it would take you all day to do that, and who the hell wants to do that? You know, when you can do something really fun and cool like this that's a little more unpredictable. Okay. Now those are all the same green. It's kind of a peppermint kind of green. And what I might do is just like let that sit for a while, you know, let it, something that thin would probably dry in a couple of days, and I could put some other paint on top of it, or put some paint on top of it right now. Let's do that. I need more white for sure. White, by the way, as you guys move forward in your painting explorations, is the go-to color. You need it. Most paint pigments, like these green, if you note, you know, the pigments come out of the tube and they're awfully dark. They're really dense, okay? They're cost effective that way. So they're very dense and very dark. You need to add white usually to pull the color out so you can even see what color it is. So white is a really important component of your palette. You need it with great frequency. So I'm going to